Yesterday we started the book Brave Harriet by Marissa Moss, illustrated by C.F. Payne. Today we're going to read the rest of the book, stopping several times to ask some questions and discuss what we've learned so far about Harriet. Before we begin, let's review some things that we learned yesterday. We learned that she did not grow up wanting to become a pilot, but when she saw her first airplane, she knew that she wanted to become a pilot and even started flying lessons on the very same day. We also learned that before she became a pilot, she was a newspaper reporter. We also learned that some things about her character. She was determined and persistent, even when people said that she shouldn't do it, that it was dangerous for her. Even came up with a plan to prevent her from having to fly across the English Channel, but she did not want to be considered a fraud. She was meaning that she didn't want to take credit for something that she didn't do. We also learned that she did question, based on the weather and different things, was she doing the right thing? She still questioned whether or not that this was something that she should do. But we also learned that as she climbed into that cockpit, even with everybody around and her adjusting her glasses, that she was off and determined to cross the English Channel. Now, let's review what wonders we might still be having about Brave Harriet Quimby. One wonder I have is based off of something that we learned, whether or not with what her occupation or job was, which was a newspaper reporter. I wonder if her interest in flying or seeing her first airplane was when she was maybe reporting on the new airplanes. What wonders do you have still about Brave Harriet Quimby? Pause the video and type your responses in the comment box below. When you are finished, resume the video. Now, at the end of our first day's reading, Harriet was leaving England in her plane, hoping to reach France by flying across the English Channel. This next section that we're going to read about, and maybe some of your wonders will be answered, is going to be Harriet's flight across the English Channel. So we're going to begin where we left off yesterday. Follow along as I read. It was my first time to fly by compass. It was my first time to fly over water. And it was my first time to cross the English Channel. The crossing was all I had imagined it to be. The blue overhead, the blue beneath, the blue all around. Below me, I could see a tugboat full of reporters following my path. Then they disappeared as I was wrapped in a thick mist. The blue was gone, and there was nothing to see but white. A cold, wet whiteness like the foam of a wave. And here she is in her illustration of what she might have looked like in her plane with that tugboat below. By 6, my goggles had clouded up, so I pushed them up on my forehead. Without them, I still saw only whiteness. I should have been terrified, but oh, it was so beautiful. As much a part of flying as being in the vast, clear blue. And I had my compass to guide me. All I had to do was follow the path east and trust my plane to do the rest. When it said my goggles had clouded up, that means it had become hard to see because of the mist. I could also have used my context clue where it says, "So I pushed them up on my forehead," meaning she moved them out of the way so that she could see. That context clue could have helped me determine what had clouded up meant. It then further goes on to say, "Without them, I still saw only whiteness." That helps to further indicate that being clouded up meant that she couldn't see. Here's an illustration showing what she might have looked like in her airplane with her goggles pushed up. By 6:30, however, I was so cold I could scarcely feel my own hands. The white fog had crept into my bones, and I worried I would not stay alert, and so would miss my compass heading. So when it says fog had crept into my bones, it means being in the fog had made her feel cold and sleepy. Now this context clue, I worried I would not stay alert, that helps me to kind of understand what that fog had crept in my bones means. That she was worried she wouldn't stay alert, that she wouldn't stay awake and be able to stay focused, and so would miss my compass heading. Her compass heading means direction. So those context clues help me to understand what fog had crept in my bones. Doesn't literally mean fog had crept into her bones. That non-literal meaning means that she was having difficulty or was afraid that she might become cold and fall asleep. The plane suddenly lurched, and I was all sharp attention again. Another context clue helping me to understand what this non-literal meaning meant. Something was wrong. The plane was tilting sharply, and the steep pitch, which means the tilt of the plane, caused the engine to misfire. The motor began to sputter. There was no time to think, only time to act. I lowered the plane as steadily as I could, hoping to pancake onto the water with a gentle landing. So here's another word or meaning that I'm not sure of. So if I look at, I lowered the plane as steadily as I could, hoping to pancake on the water with a gentle landing. So that makes me think that this gentle landing means that she's trying to land the plane gently. So the pancake on the water, a pancake is flat, right? So landing it flat on the water. She's trying to land the plane flat on the water, making it a gentle landing. Here's a picture of her and her plane tilting. That pitch was steep, causing her alarm. But just as suddenly as the trouble had begun, the sparking stopped and the motor again purred smoothly. And now below the clouds, I could see the coast of France. So let's pause in our reading and let's ask, what have we learned about Harriet's flight across the English Channel? Pause the video and type your response in the comment box below. After you're finished typing, resume the video. Now, what are some wonders that you might have about Harriet based on what we've just read? Type your response in the comment box below after pausing the video. When you are finished, resume. My fingers still numb with cold, my heart still pounding from the sparks, I didn't even look for Calais, but brought the plane to land on the sandy beach. It was all over so quickly, it was scarcely 7 a.m., and I had come so far. And there she is landing, and here's people, reporters waiting for her. A crowd of French fishermen and their families rushed over to greet me, the great fish fallen from the sky. The women hoisted me aloft once again in triumph, meaning they lifted her high up in the air. while the men pushed my plane up the beach away from the rising tide. It was a wonderful welcome. Best of all, one fishwife set up a table right there on the beach and sat me down to a good hot cup of tea. As I warmed my hands around the wide, thick, steaming bowl, I could see the headlines already. American woman flies over the channel. And it might have been so. It truly might have been. But it was April 16th, 1912, and for that day and for the days afterward, there was other news that eclipsed mine, meaning what was more important then. And if we look at our picture and our illustration, we can make an inference or know what was the other news that eclipsed hers. Let's pause in our reading and let's discuss, how do you think Harriet is feeling right now? What in the story makes you think that? In the comment box below, I want you to pause the video and type your response to those questions. How do you think Harriet is feeling, and what text evidence in the story supports why you think Harriet feels that way? When you are finished, resume the video. And it might have been so. It truly might have been. But it was April 16th, 1912. And for that day and for the days afterward, there was other news that eclipsed mine. But it didn't matter because I knew I had done it. I'd had my time in the clouds, my time surrounded by blue, and that was enough for me. So what has happened? What effect does this have on news of Harriet's success? Meaning, what has happened, or what happened on the day that Harriet landed on the beach in Calais, France? Did that news change Harriet's success? In the comment box below, I want you to type, what was the event that overshadowed Harriet's arrival on the beach in Calais, France? And then type and tell me, did it change her success? Did it alter her success in any way? When you are finished typing, resume the video. So what did we learn about Harriet Quimby from today's reading? Did any of your wonders get explained in today's reading? And if so, how were they explained? After what you've heard today, do you still have more wonders about Harriet? Tomorrow we will continue to read and learn more about Harriet's life, and continue to practice our ask and answering question strategy.